Hello guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Ginger Toy Mentor. Today we're going to be looking at the Autobot Headmaster Hardhead. Hardhead is one of the Walmart reproduction units. It's not really a reproduction, it's just kind of like a repo box. The transformer inside isn't really the same as the original, although he does have kind of like the same look. It's a little bit of a what's the term? A little bit of a con, because obviously they also had sold like the reproduction Starscream, the reproduction Optimus Prime, the reproduction Devastator, the reproduction Soundwave, reproduction Blaster, and so forth and so on. And obviously those were all like almost identical reproductions of the original 1984 models that seem to use even the same molds, whereas these are definitely not using the same molds as the original Transformers. So it's interesting. Looks like he's held down by 3 straps and no other straps besides those. And he looks like he is some sort of futuristic sort of a tank slash car. I'm not even sure what to call him. Of course, a lot of these Transformers that became Headmasters were specifically like futuristic vehicles, where the original Transformers obviously were Earth vehicles. So they had a little bit more creative license with the robotic forms. Obviously we have a gun which seems to go on top of his main gun, so he has literally 2 guns. And then on top of that we also have our Headmaster. So in his head mode, he looks pretty cool. Not too terrible. Let's see if I can get a good shot of him without being too blurry. I got a gray, a yellow, a blue, and a green motif going on there. Of course, it fits with the Transformer. He should have a compartment. Most of the Headmasters have a compartment that they can go into. And his gun really articulates, like up, down, left, right. Oh man, the whole thing just moves all around, all over the place. Got pretty nice aiming, and the whole thing actually comes out of the compartment. That's pretty cool. Probably so that he can actually wield it. That'd be rather interesting. Still can't get his compartment open. That thing is really tight in there, isn't it? Let's try gripping it from the sides. There we go. That works better. And it looks like our boy has a little notch on his foot, which does go into a notch on the inside of the compartment. If we can get it to go into the notch. And he sits in there pretty well. Let's pull his arms up so it looks like he's actually doing something, as opposed to just sitting there at attention. And there you go. See, we got our little dude. He's in his little compartment, and we're going to close the compartment down. So he's in there driving the tank. You know, it's a little odd that the tank treads don't seem to be touching the ground. There seems to be a plate here that is. There we go. So when I got him, this plate right here was pushed all the way down. And it needs to be up so that he can be in the proper mode. So we're going to go ahead and end this one here, and I'm going to get a nice fashion photo shot of our boy here on the turntable. Alright, so now we're going to see if we can transform him into his robot mode. It seems obvious that we need to take that out of there. I also noticed that there was a compartment here for what will seem to be like our friend. So that he can also sit inside of the gun, and he can fire the gun manually. It doesn't, however, look like you can shut the gun. Unless, trying to see here if you can like modify. I mean, it kind of in an interesting way, if you like finagle it, it kind of covers him up a little bit, but he's still exposed somewhat, so it gives him like some cover. Either that, or you could just simply leave it open. Let's go ahead and transform into his head mode, because obviously we're going to have to turn him into his head so that he can go on Hardhead. The gun itself seems to come off completely, so let's just go ahead and take that off. And let's see if we can figure out how his legs and feet work. So we definitely have some feet here on the bottom of his tank treads. So I'm definitely going to assume that those are his feet. And it looks like they just kind of lock into position. His kind of hip guard there pops in. His arms just kind of pull out, and I'm not really sure what to do with this section here. Looks like the whole thing comes up and forward, and that becomes the chest piece. Then that folds down, and the back piece folds down and locks into a little notch on the back side. That's pretty cool. And then these are obviously his arms. It looks like they pull out. And his fists also pull out. That's pretty cool. Not bad at all. A very interesting little transformation there. And, I mean, quite honestly, let's get his little head in there. There we go. Put his gun in his hand. And let's take a look at the manual real quick, and let's see if there is something that we can do with his gun. Because it looks pretty darn cool, I'm not going to lie. And it could have some very interesting uses. So according to the manual, it looks like his top piece right here, which is actually the gun mount, kind of folds up along the back side of his thing here, and then you can just take this and put the gun on his shoulder. And, I mean, that's pretty darn cool looking with the gun just freaking mounted on his shoulder like that. I mean, that's freaking pretty beast. I'm not gonna lie, he looks pretty cool. Let me make sure I've got everything correct. According to the manual. Yeah, it does look like we have everything correct. And you can either obviously put him, according to the manual, you can put his head in either in the thing or in the cockpit of the gun. But when he's transformed into the robot, you really don't have any choice, otherwise your robot doesn't have a head. Which in the TV show, though, there was several times where the headmasters were running around headless because the headmaster head was essentially off doing something else, which was interesting. Let's get a fashion photo shot of him in his robot mode. He looks pretty bestial with his freaking cannon on his shoulder like that. And that should be it. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and keep watching.